right. But it also allows you to serve them at a deeper level and
Yeah,
a higher
exactly.
level
Especially know them
because
a
you
long
understand
time.
them.
Yeah, yeah. You've been with them a long time, so you know you basically know everything, I guess. So, so
Yeah, yeah. So the thing is like, for example, with my clients, so we figure out what the perfect clients are, and then what is the pain and what is the goal for those perfect clients. So, like, for example, Tony Robbins says people do things for two reasons: to avoid pain and to go towards pleasure, right?
yeah.
That's it,
But
right? Like,
mostly,
even if you,
but what I see mostly, you usually do it to avoid pain, because sometimes if you tell a person, I want you to do this for example, some kind of intensive, let's say it's money, but if there is some hurdle or something to step over, they would say no. I'm fine, you know.
yeah, and so that's where we have to get the messaging really, really strong, because the messaging has to show them, like, okay, if you um keep going away from the pain, right? You just keep going away from the pain, here's where you're going to end up, right? If you keep going towards the pleasure, towards the pleasure, towards the pleasure, here's where you're going to end up. Versus if you look at addressing the pain, and a lot of times, like, people have these fears and they're tied to the money beliefs that we have, right?
Mm,
They're That's one of the big things I do with my clients is look at, what are those hidden mindset beliefs that are keeping you small, because you have your family money story, like, oh, money doesn't grow on trees. The rich are bad. I mean, even like in culture, like in North American culture, the rich people are always evil, right? Like, if you look at Cruella, there's the new movie coming out with Cruella, and she's a rich woman that gets puppies to make fur coats, right? There's, in a Disney movie, right?
mm.
so
So,
so you see that it's like in the back of our
yeah, yeah.
brain.
This is actually, I think, it's in every people's mind all over the world. I think because they always
Yes,
see the people who have money, like some of them maybe they inherited, for example. So say someone inherited their money, they didn't really work for it because of that, and some people say like they. I don't want to go into it, but maybe they stole it. So these kind of things go into, or they got
right.
it illegally, because now, especially now, if we're talking, for example, about online businesses, we see a lot of things going on and happening, and not everyone that can be giving you certain, let's say, information that actually have it, or
Right,
did it,
right, right, right. So I think it's important, and I think I'm just speaking to North America because that's where I'm from. But depending on where the listeners or watchers are watching, it's really interesting to start paying attention. Like, what are the things your parents said? What are the movies that you saw growing up that you think about this? What are the
Mm,
TV shows that like that they really demonize people being wealthy? So going back to the perfect client, so you want to create a message that really helps the client. And so I'll give you an example. One of my clients sells pizza to school
mm,
nutrition programs, right?
true.
Now, that is like the biggest commodity ever, is selling pizza in schools, because every kid in, like, pizza is their favorite food, and every single school sells pizza in their school program, in their lunchroom.
Mm,
And so if I were to call you and say, oh, Hussein, like, I have some pizza, do you want to change your pizza? Well, what happens is I'm thinking, I'm not going to change the company I'm using. That sounds like I have to go get a new purchasing order, I need to get approval. It sounds like a lot of work, and
yeah.
they're going to want to avoid the pain. So what happened is, when we looked at their perfect client, what we realized about these school nutrition directors is that they were being evaluated on how their school did in terms of profit and participation. Like, how much money did the school nutrition program make? Because
Mm,
they reinvest that into the school. And how many kids eat in the cafeteria, even if they're not buying their lunch, because they want kids to be able to learn. And there's studies that show if kids are not eating, they're not learning. So
mm,
now when we call and we say, Hussein, are you interested? Like, you say, like, who are you? And I'm like, oh, we're the company that helps school nutrition increase their profits and participation.
mm. Okay.
Now, can you see
So
how that doesn't look the same?
yeah,
We've moved from being a
that
commodity
it's
to
a
being
different.
couture,
Yeah, it's a different angle, a different place
right?
to win. Yeah.
And so that's where like helping people move from commodity to couture, it's really about getting that perfect client down, getting the messaging down that you like. And my client's competing against Pizza Hut, Little Caesars, all these other companies. He's competing against them making their own pizza, right? So it's really stepping him completely above in the conversation. So that's what I help entrepreneurs do, is to figure out that for your business, so that when you talk to people, they're like, oh, that's interesting. Tell me
Yeah,
more about that.
exactly. You mentioned, like, for example, the little ones competing against the biggest one. So, for example, if we're speaking, for example, about restaurants, there are, for example, a lot of smaller restaurants. They have like 1 or 2 locations, which make more delicious food than the big ones, you
Yes.
know. But
Yes.
why are they still small? Why are they not growing? Are they don't have the resources? Maybe the money at their disposal is much less. Can they do something about it to be more resourceful, let's say?
Yeah, it's interesting that you use those words, because Tony Robbins, when I was working for him, we did the first business mastery that ever existed. And in that first business mastery, this guy stood up, and I think this is a lot of the restaurant owners out there.